The number one thing that I would say is you attract what you put out. I've always believed that, but every round, the people are great, but each round the people get they're a better fit, I would say. And it's because my messaging is more refined. Like I know what I'm putting out there. I know what I want to deliver.
Well, I know I don't want that.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want that. So what are the things that you have learned? Okay. So like in these 10 iterations of the Instagram intensive and what do you call it? Movement Maestro, MMIG, right? Or just
Movement Maestro Instagram intensive. Yeah.
So I'm sure that you've definitely learned from inception till now. What are some of the things that you have learned about how to make it easier, what worked, what didn't work, as you keep pushing it out?
Totally. Let me think. I'm writing it down so I don't get too off track. But the number one thing that I would say is you attract what you put out. I've always believed that, but every round, the people are great, but each round the people get they're a better fit, I would say. And it's because my messaging is more refined. Like I know what I'm putting out there. I know what I want to deliver. I know what I want out of the program. And so I can say that. And then that is who shows up. So definitely you attract what you put out, right? You attract what you are. Number two, just if you're not hype about your stuff, no one's going to be hype about your stuff. So you got to bring the excitement, bring the noise, set the tone, not just when you're actually, delivering the offer, delivering the thing, but if you're trying to sell something, you got to get excited about it. You got to care about it. If you're not caring about it, no one else cares about it. So big there. And third, I would say just every time I run it, I'm reminded that it's not about me, right? It is about the people on the other side. What are they learning? What are they walking away with? What are they able to implement and digest, right? The calls are 2 hours long. Like it's called the intensive for a reason, but I really encourage everyone to have their screens on so I can see them. Right. And I get that we all have a bit of like screen fatigue and Zoom fatigue and stuff like that. So I'm like, listen, if it's going to lower the barrier to entry for you to like not have it on, like you're an adult. But if you're like on the fence or you're just like, I don't care either way, then I'm going to ask that you turn it on because I can see you. Right. And when I can see you, I know if you're just like over it, if you don't care about this part, if you don't understand this part, and then I can be like, all right, hey, back up or switch this or change this because it's not about me. One, I already know this shit. Two, it's about you. What do you actually want to learn? What do you actually care about? So
you get the feedback from them. You're getting like that. Yeah. I totally agree. I totally agree. I'm actually redoing the videos, the modules for my program. And I started recording them and I was recording them just with a camera. And I was like, I suck like this. Like it's so boring. It's not coming across. I'm staring at myself at a green, light on there. So I said, you know what? I am going to invite everyone that went through the program, all the alumni and everyone that went through, and I'm going to record them live. And if you want to sit back in on the program live, so the teaching will be with other people, but I also think it is better. I think I will teach it better, but I also think once people watch the recordings, even though there's other people there, they will get a better feel than just me talking. So I don't talk like that Charlie Brown teacher that's like, wah, 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 or the Ferris Bueller teacher.
Einstein.
Bueller. Yeah, exactly.
Totally.
So, and I do think, I love that you said, don't sell it until you know you have an audience for it. I really think that that's a huge thing. The way we talk about it, and I learned this in one of my masterminds, I call it monetize before you make it. So it's basically like sell it before you create it. And people get all freaked out about that. But really, why take all this time and energy and pay some people, like if you pay for an editor, which I do and all this stuff, and I know you're big on delegating. So why would you spend all this money if you don't know if anyone's, you could launch it to crickets. Let people buy it first.
That's the thing, man. The biggest lie I've ever heard in, online business is if you build it, they will come. That's bullshit.
That's a bunch of bullshit. It's a bullshit in brick and mortar business too, by the way.
Like,
so
what? This is not how
we're not in Field of Dreams.
That's it.
Kevin Costner is not coming to us. No.
Absolutely not. You got to get proof of concept first. You got to know that there's a problem there first that people want solved. I love that you highlighted that. Like, people can know they have a problem. The light can be on the dashboard of the car, but they're like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to fix this right now. Solve the problem that they know they have, but more than that they actually want solved.
And they'll pay for, and that they will pay for it. Because you can also have a problem like, everyone needs to learn how to tie their shoes. I don't know that people will I don't know that although this generation, you never know. I don't know parents that will pay someone to teach their kid to tie their shoes, but I'm just going to throw that out there. You never know what parents will do these days.
So literally, as you said that, I was like, but
maybe there is a market for it. There might be a market for it. Velcro was genius. Velcro saw the problem and they said, parents don't want to be doing this shit anymore. We're going to make it easy for them. But there has to be a problem. And I think most successful business owners, regardless of what industry they're in, they found a problem and they said, I'm going to create the solution for it. And the other thing is we have to understand where, just like you said, like the people could see that they have a problem on their dashboard, like the green light could be on. Number one, they know they have a problem, but now they might not know what the problem actually is. 100%. Then they have to figure out, well, what's the solution? The solution could be a variety of things. It could be just put oil in your car. It could be go get gas in your car. It could be you have to take it to a mechanic. And basically all we're selling as the business owners is our solution and why our solution is right for that problem. So, totally. And I love that you really niche down to Instagram.
Yeah, it was easy. Let it be easy. I really do live by that mantra. Rupert taught me that, and I was like, I think he's onto something. Let it be easy. Like,
well, as I'm saying this, I'm looking at Duncan, my dog, right over my. And
did the hair grow back, Chris?
It did. Thank God. Thank God. So for those of you that don't know, Duncan's my first dog I've ever had, and I took him to a groomer, and she said, "Do you want me to shave? Like, is he shedding? Do you want to shave?" And I said, yeah, I guess. And they shaved him bald, and he's like a short-haired dog. And I was so traumatized.
Why would they do that? I just don't understand.
I was so mad. By the way, this is not how you know your ideal customer, because I was so angry. But anyways, his hair is fully grown back, but he's living his life. He's hanging out, sleeping right next to me. Yeah, that's how it is. So
that's like, I love that. Yes, it's so much value, it feels great to accomplish things and do things, but I also very much believe that we, especially, I'll speak for Americans, champion the struggle. Yeah. And I'm like, but does it have to be that hard? There's a difference between making something hard and working hard.
Yes. Big difference. Ooh, I like that. Yes. Yes.
Big difference.
And there's a season for everything. Business is not, you've worked hard to grow your audience and to get people to trust you. So that's not necessarily an easy feat, but at some point it doesn't have to be hard all the time.
That's it. Totally. Yeah. And I really think there's a big difference between the working hard and like just making it hard on yourself and putting obstacles in the way and making decisions that largely just make it more difficult. Like, go with the flow, find the ease within things, and work your ass off. Like, there is no substitute for that. I have everyone in my intensive, I have them read the book, The Go-Giver. Love it. Simple book, right? Great simple. Book. It's just short, and the lessons are phenomenal. One of the main themes that we see in that book, and like all the people that he encounters that have had this stratospheric success, is that they're all remarkable at their craft, at their thing that they do, right? They're not like, oh, I'm just really passionate about it, and like I kind of do it, and I'm like mediocre at it, but I love it. Like, these people are exceptional, and that doesn't happen by accident, right? That happens with hard work over time, right? And just going and going and going and going and going. But there's a difference between that and just like, I'm going to choose the hardest path and I'm going to make things the hardest. And I see a lot of that self-sabotage, just a lot.
Yeah. And people can't get out of their own way sometimes.
That's it.
You know, when you're like, it's so hard, well, hire some help. I can't afford it. Well, I think that you can't afford it because you haven't hired help. So that's why it's a big reason I think people feel burnt out. Like when they come to you, and I know you do business coaching too, so I'm sure you've heard it. I'm so tired. I'm doing all the stuff. The reason we're tired and de-energized is because we're doing the shit we don't want to do.
That's it. 100%. I totally agree. I really think that it comes from a lack of not doing things. I've never heard someone say this, something that they're really passionate about and they love, that they're burned out. They may be tired and like, I need a little break. I need to go to Miami. It's warm there, but no one's like, oh man, I'm burned out. It's when you're doing the shit you hate over and over and over again.
Right. And by the way, that means like, could be reconciling your books. It could be, you know, handling a customer complaint. It could be figuring out how to edit your podcast. So it could be all of those things, and it's fine to get help. There's some amazing help out there. And if you want, you know, a different outcome, you have to make different choices. So
it's very simple. It is, it is very, you know, not easy, but it is simple.
It is simple and it's not easy. So going in with, so Instagram has changed a bunch, and I know that it just, the founder or, you know, the CEO of Instagram right now just came out with how they're going to be changing the feeds soon, which would be great. Move it back. People. Yeah, exactly. So what has changed over the last, like, what are some of the biggest changes and impacts you've seen over the last couple of years that maybe even changed how you taught your course and things that people need to know or understand at a more of like a granular level?
So the biggest thing, I'm going to flip it. And I want to start with the things that have stayed the same, because that's the easiest to focus on. And Instagram is still a platform where if you want success, you have to be on it for a long time, not a long time each day, but longevity over just how long you've been using it. I spoke about Jill earlier. Like I said, she'd been on since Instagram started. Like that is a lot of reps. That is a lot of time that she's been on. So regardless of the things that Instagram is doing or pushing, the common thread is, can you stay on this platform? Can you adjust enough so that you're like, you know what, I still enjoy being on here and I'm just going to create content in this way. And so that's been the same since day one, right? It's, what's the longevity? What's the frequency? Like how often are you posting? And are you building genuine relationships? And I'll say number 4, is your shit good? Yeah. Like, yes, the bar has raised, but that's like everything in life, right? The computers we buy now are not the same as the ones we bought 5 years ago. Right? The bar just keeps going up and just kind of what people expect, which I think is amazing because I run my business from home. Like I make videos. I have an amazing like light setup and podcast setup from home. It's 2022. What a time to be alive. So, you know, on the one hand, like, yeah, people kind of, their expectations have changed, but also what you can do as a creator, as an individual, or if you want to outsource it still, you're not outsourcing it to some massive company that like, you don't know. It's right, like another creator, which is amazing to me. So things that have stayed the same is the longevity, how long are you on there, the frequency or the volume, right? Frequency is just another way to modulate volume, the connections that you're building on there, and is your stuff actually good? You got to deliver content that people find valuable. That has been the same. What's changed is just the vehicle. Yeah. It was static posts when we first started out, and then we got 15-second videos, and then we got longer videos, and then we got what are they called, stories, to try and compete with Snapchat, and then we got reels in 2020 to try and compete with TikTok, and the reels were once again 15 seconds long. It just went back to what we used to be. The size of the video changed. Now we have longer videos. So we see we're going back to what we had before. And like, so those things, the actual, like, what type of post has changed? Yes. In the beginning of 2021, I believe, Adam Mosseri, he's like you said, the CEO of Instagram. He announced that Instagram is going to be a video platform, and people lost their shit. And I get it. They lost their shit. They lost their shit. And I was like, okay, let's just see what happens. Number one, right? the reason that he's doing this is, I don't agree with doing it, but I don't run the company, right? The reason he's doing it is they're trying to get a younger user base. And they believe, based on how well TikTok has done, that the younger user base wants video, not static posts. So they're just kind of like, screw you, people that have been with us this whole time, we're making videos. I think it would be best to just leave it as is and let, have reels and also have static posts, which it seems like the feed has gone back to that. But again, the biggest thing is, what can you do to keep yourself on there longer? So when they made that switch, I was like, listen, folks, you don't need to go and make 75 videos today. Keep posting what you've been posting, and let's just try to slowly like make one video. Just like when you're like, you know what? Okay, I'm gonna just try. All right. How can you approach this such that you can stay on the platform longer, not just hate it, kind of like dip your toe in? And what I've learned, we've had 400 people go through the intensive. What I've learned is like,
amazing, dude, it's amazing.
I'm so grateful. So grateful. What I've learned from this is, I heard the quote about this woman on the podcast, and she said, people don't resist change, they resist loss. And I was like, yes, that makes total sense. So people are resisting, like, oh, if I do this new thing, I'm going to suck at it. I'm going to lose my followers. I'm going to lose all the work that I've done. So I'm like, all right, let's not just like make this radical shift. Let's just dip our toe and make one type of post. You make one video now. And without fail, I want to say 100% of people, when they change on their own timeline, they're like, this is actually not bad. And I'm like, see,
so okay. True. So true. So true. It's kind of like, have you ever read Atomic Habits by James Clear?
I've read part of it. It's on my nightstand right now. It's literally on the nightstand.
I love James Clear. And I just think like, I get his email, his newsletter. It's short and sweet, and I read his quotes. And one of the things that, and by the way, this is every year I'm like, I'm going to start doing this. One of the things he talks about too is just basically like about exercise. So since we're in the exercise technically kind of industry, so he's like, there's one thing where people are like, I'm going to do 100 push-ups a day. How about you start with one? Because at the end of the day, when you're tired and you're exhausted and you're throwing yourself into bed, everyone can get out of bed and do one push-up.
That's it.
But 100 is forget it. So instead of saying like, how are you, how am I going to do 70 reels or 30 reels? How about do one video? Or how about you jump on Facebook Live, or you record a video and talk, and then you chop it up. By the way, there's like a great Cut Story app that you just chop it up into 15-second videos. And now guess what? You got 30 of them. Or I tell movement practitioners, you know what? You teach a class, record yourself teaching the class, and then chop it up. There you go. Now there's no thought to it. And rather than like think about if you do it consistently, it's like cutting out bread, for example. If you stop eating bread, the first couple of days, you're like hangry, you're irritated, you're annoyed because you're hungry. But eventually you're like, oh, I went like 2 or 3 days and I didn't eat bread, and it wasn't like that big of a deal. It's just, you got to do it.
You have to start doing it 100%, right? I did that for the month of December. I just wanted to do, and I had so for the month of December, I just wanted to do something with my brother. I have two brothers. One of them, he's 28 now. And I was like, he's really into fitness now, and I love it. And I was like, let's just do something together. Let's do a challenge, do something every day together. It was not like, oh, we're going to get stronger, or it was just literally, the goal was just to do something together. And so I was like, let's do 50 kettlebell swings. Now, goals are subjective, right? Mm-hmm. They're subjective and relative. And for me, I was like, 50 swings is nothing. Yeah. And I also picked a weight that was nothing. It wasn't like, I'm going to do about the heaviest weight possible, because the goal was just to, one, do this together and have the consistency. Right. So, and I knew, I was like, listen, this was going to be content because I can teach lessons from this, where if you set a goal, and this ties into my whole shtick of let it be easy. If you set a goal that you can accomplish when you're not at 100%, mm-hmm. that is a goal that will get achieved. Correct. And then for all my overachievers who are listening to this, because Krista and I are both overachievers, because you're like, but I could do more. That's amazing. Because on the day that you are 100%, you're going to do more. Yeah. So everyone can fit into this system. And then, I love that you brought up James Clear. I really believe that it would behoove us to treat achieving our goals the same way we treat developing and implementing a habit. right? Because we know, what is it? The whole SMART goals thing, right? We have to break it down and make it achievable and make it measurable and all those other things. If that's what you do with your goal, it's actually going to get done. You break it down into these components that you know you can actually do on a daily basis. It gets implemented into your life, and they're your goals. You know, like that kind of goes without saying, and they get achieved. But yeah, you don't have to struggle. No struggle.
No, you don't. I mean, I really believe that consistency eats intensity for breakfast. And so
there you go.
You have days that you can be intense, but consistency, you know,
that's it.
The tortoise and the hare, baby.
Yeah, man.
It's a story of old.
I love it. Consistency eats intensity for breakfast. That's what's up.
Yeah, it definitely does. And so I want to know, I mean, your content is just so on point. I mean, I read your stuff and I'm like, damn, that's so good. Like, how do you come up with this stuff? Do you just have like an inner, I don't know, do you hear things? Is there a system? Is there a process? Because their stuff is so good.
I think that there's a few things. One, and you and I are both very similar in this. We talk a lot. Right? People are like trying to figure out what they want to say, but they don't speak. And I'm like, but also you have to talk then. And then you're going to figure out what you want to say. The words need to come out of your mouth. You have to edit things after they're on the paper. So I'm not saying like go and like run your mouth in public and like offend somebody, but you do need to speak and create. Things need to get out, and then you can edit them and refine them. But also in the process of saying things so much, you say things so many times and you get that proficiency because you're like, yeah, I do believe that. Yeah. And so you can speak with that conviction. So, you know, I always say once is never. I borrowed that quote from, her name is Julie Angel. She's actually has a PhD in parkour. She's like 65 and has a PhD in parkour. She's freaking awesome.
I love that quote. Once is never.
Once is never. And so it relates to the fact that like, if you do a trick, but you land it once, it's like equivalent of never having done it. Cause you can't be like, I own it now. And you're like, but you did it once. So maybe you're not. All right. So when we're talking about sharing content and speaking and posts, once is never. You got to say that thing a zillion times. Everyone that's listening to this, you're a movement professional in some way, shape, or form. Like, you say the same things all the time, over and over and over again. So in doing so, you get that proficiency, that confidence in saying that. And I think the other piece is that I wanted to make a career, or I'll say career, where I could be online. I love doing it. And so I spend a lot of time doing it. And like we spoke about with the Go-Giver, proficiency is an expertise that reigns supreme there. And that comes from devoting time to it and being on the thing and doing the thing. So in being on social media a lot, I spend a lot of time there. I can see what people are talking about. Like from being a PT, you know what people are feeling without them necessarily having to say it. And then as someone who's been talking a lot and has confidence, you have the confidence to say that thing that other people, they're thinking it, but they're just too nervous to say.
Yeah. It's great. Your stuff is awesome. I love your stuff. I mean, sometimes I want to just be like fire emoji, fire, 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 fire. So, but then the question comes, are there still times now or at the beginning where you're kind of like, and you can't see me if you're watching, but I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to put, like, have you ever written stuff that you're like, yeah, no, I can't say that.
I will sit. So actually the post that I put up this morning, I will sit and I will work on a post if I feel that it's like that for hours, because I don't want to have to deal with people in the comments, because the nuance is lost on social media. One of the beautiful things about Instagram is that we have 2,200 characters in the caption to really say a lot, but nuance can be lost. So when I am going to write something, one, I always want to lead with kindness. So even if I'm annoyed by something, that doesn't help anything. So I need to like process that. In the past, if I was really angry, I would write something out and then I wouldn't post it. It wasn't like I'm going to make a post, but I was like, it has to get out of my body. But now if I have a post that I'm like, I know that people might be triggered by this, I sit and I'm like, why would they be triggered? What would they say? What might they say? And I write that in the caption. Right?
Yeah. So you're kind of like starting with the end in mind. So you're like, how are they going to respond to this? And I'm going to I'm going to myth bust. I'm going to objection bust this now.
I'm going to say it now and get ahead of it. And I'm going to look to address what I think that their concern might be. And do it in a kind way, and then let the chips fall. That is a big thing. I know you're the same way with this, where the confidence starts with self-trust. And do you trust yourself to handle the outcome? Like Jill will say, do you trust yourself in the comment section? And if you don't trust yourself yet, you're not going to post these things at all. I trust myself to handle it because the things I'm saying, I have literally sat with and thought about. It's not for 5 minutes where I'm like, oh, that's a good one, I'm going to do that. It is, I have sat with this for hours, weeks, months, years, depending on what the thing is. And I'm like, yeah, I do trust myself to have a discussion about this if I want to have a discussion about this. And so at this point, no, there's nothing that I'm like, I'm not going to post that, but I will sit and really, really sit and be like, have I addressed what people might feel in the caption?
Yeah. I mean, have you always been someone that like spoke her mind, or?
I don't want to say, I don't know. I don't want to say yes or no, but I think that I am someone that was very fortunate to have a mom who always supported me, like unconditionally.
Mm-hmm.
And so I never necessarily thought that what was on my mind was wrong or bad. So I think if you go into it thinking like, I don't want to share what I'm saying because it's different and wrong, then you're like, but if you're just like, I'm just speaking because this is what I'm doing. I think it was just kind of more of that.
Yeah. I have a Latina mom too. So they're not quiet about a lot of things.
That's it. So it's just like,
they're not quiet. Yeah. I do sometimes still, even though I'm pretty confident, there are times where I'm like,
Krista, you know why though? Because you're a white woman. And I don't say that in a pejorative way. I say that in a way that I look like this. I get to actually navigate spaces differently, right? So people love, people see a white woman and they're like, I can attack that. People see a woman, I can attack that. I can say the things that I see people get in their DMs or get as comments. And I'm like, someone thought they could say this to you? Excuse me? That is what?
Yeah. People are crazy in the comments. You got to just be like,
blows my mind. Like, I don't get that kind of stuff, which furthers my confidence in being able to say it because people don't come at me like that. So it is very valid that you're like, I don't know about that because people are assholes. So that makes sense.
It comes, it also comes from a place of like, I fortunately have not gotten any bad comments in my DMs either. I also think I've been pushing myself a little more to really say, because in person to person, I will say what I feel. Like I've been at conferences before where I'm like, not going to happen. But because you're behind a screen and you're right, sometimes it gets
nuance gets lost, man. Inflection gets lost
and stuff like that. But there are definitely things that I'm like, because if I do say it, I don't feel I'm trying to get out of these people pleasing ways and being this chameleon and really just stepping into like,
I mean, I've seen it in your content, Krista. I've seen the shift and it's dope. I see it.
Like, I'm definitely comfortable, much more comfortable with it now. But I also think, and from your perspective, you were saying, listen, you started in 2014. So, we're in 2022 now. So those people that are like, well, I only have, and especially now, because the platform has been around and is more saturated.
Nailed it.
It's much harder to get into now. Like organic growth now is really hard.
It's really freaking hard. Absolutely. Which is, circling back to the discussion we were having earlier, why I push the niching down portion of things. Like the best thing you could do is have started 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Cause then you don't really have to niche like you did, but like there also just wasn't that many people doing the things. So it didn't matter. I'm like, there's a ton of people doing it. It is absolutely harder. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. But that's also why you got to be specific. And then you got to repeat yourself a lot.
Over and over and over again. And what people don't realize too is like, just post that shit again. Like
nobody goes back.
Half your thing, you didn't even see it the first time it came out. So
that's it.
So
post it again.
I know it's great, but this has been awesome. I could talk to you for like another hour. And hopefully now once travel opens up again, I'll make my trip out to Cali and we can actually meet in real life.
Dude,
so
I'm coming to, I gotta come to Miami again.
We have to play volleyball.
That's it. The deep sand over here, the deep sand.
I can't get my ass out of the sand anymore. I'm like, yeah, not getting that one. Sorry. So I like to close my podcast with just a few random questions that are just to kind of talk to people. I know, just so people can get like a sense non-business from you. So one of the questions I love to ask, and by the way, I totally stole this from Brene Brown and her podcast. So I stole this from her, but what is something that most people get wrong about you?
That I am really tall.
Really? So when they meet you in real life, are they like,
they're like, I thought you'd be bigger. Yeah. Oh. I mean, I'm not a shrimp, but
how tall are you?
I'm 5'6".
Sure.
Krista, I have very long limbs. I think that everyone, a big personality. So I think most people tend to think that I'm probably about 5'10", and they meet me and they're every single person. They're like,
that's so funny.
Thought you'd probably be bigger.
Interesting.
This is it.
Interesting. All right. So what is, and I know you read a lot because you talk about your books. So what has been one of your favorite business books to date that you've read?
Has to be The Go-Giver. I know I brought it up before, but it is just, to me, it is business, Instagram, everything 101.
Yeah, 101. Yeah. If you were not doing what you're doing right now, what do you think you'd be doing for a career?
Ooh, that is a hard one. I can't imagine doing anything else.
Maybe be a volleyball coach.
I mean, I'm not tall.
Yeah, but you can still, that's why you'd coach.
They'd be like, listen, I'm not listening to you. There's no liberos on the beach. So get out of here.
Well, when I was in high school, so I'm 5'8". I'm not super tall, but I was a middle hitter in high school. So
times have changed. Wow.
Yeah. They didn't have liberos. That's how old I was. That's how old I am. They did not have liberos.
Middle hitter.
Yeah. So, yeah.
That's like 6'2" minimum now.
When I went to college and I was like, oh, wait, I can't play middle. They were like, yeah, no, you can't. Sorry, Charlie. And it's not like I have like a 7-foot vertical either. So it's funny, but let's tell everyone, or at least like I said, the 3 people that don't have internet access, where they can find you. And I think you're in the middle of the IG intensive right now, but where can they find your stuff and get on the wait list for possibly the next one?
Totally. Instagram is always the easiest. It's the Movement Maestro. Maestro is spelled Maestro. I definitely was concerned when I picked that name, but I was like, you know what? We're going with it.
I love it. It's a great name.
We're going to stick with it. So everything is there. Thank you. Everything is there. Link in the bio. And then if you're a website person, it's themovementmaestro.com. All of the things, literally all of the things are there, or you can just shoot me a DM. I'm literally always on my phone.
She's on her DMs all the time. She actually asks, and she is a real person that actually responds to her DMs. She also has an amazing group. Do you still take registrations for the Mafia?
Yeah, it's not like it's not. Yes, it's open all the time. Technically, it's just I like to have people message me first. I want people to take action.
She has a great group that basically runs on Facebook. It's called the Mafia, the Movement Mafia. It's a great networking community, people, for kind of a lot of different movement backgrounds. There's yoga instructors in there. There's aerialists, there's chiros, there's PTs, there's nutritionists. It's super open, super inviting, a place to just network and share ideas. And it's a really safe, welcoming space. So you can check that out. Visit her website. Definitely follow her on Instagram because she drops some serious knowledge bombs. Seriously. And look at what her bio says. If you need inspiration for what you should put in your bio, check that out. And, the other thing I would say is take a screenshot of this video, of this podcast. If you're listening to it, tag her at the Movement Maestro and, maybe send her a DM, tell her how much this resonated with you. And if you want to learn things, Instagram, this is the person to go to.
I got you.
Hands down. Yeah, she does. So, thank you, Shante, for coming. I'm so excited to have you on.
This was awesome, Krista. I could just talk to you endlessly, but super grateful for you asking me to come on, put me in front of your people. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you. And until next time, my friends, bye for now.